Welcome back to the lesson entitled Judgment According to the Bible, Part 5. Now we're going to go to the book of in the Apocrypha, Ecclesiasticus, chapter 22. Ecclesiasticus, chapter 22, verse 6. A tale out of season is as music in the morning, but stripes and correction of wisdom are never out of time. So the scripture says a tale out of season is as music in the morning. You know, the part I want is that, but stripes and correction of wisdom are never out of time. Because brothers and sisters, if we're getting correction, brothers and sisters, righteous correction, that's never out of time, brothers and sisters. It's never out of time. It may hurt, it may cut deep, but it's never out of time. Because you know what? That correction saved your life. You see what I'm saying, brothers and sisters? So from there, let's go now to Proverbs chapter 9, verse 8. Proverbs chapter 9, verse 8. It says, reprove not a scorner, lest he hate thee. Rebuke a wise man, and he will love thee. So that's why when I read in Ecclesiasticus 22:6, it says, but stripes and correction of wisdom. Stripes and correction of wisdom, brothers and sisters, according to the scriptures, are never out of season. Proverbs 9, verse 8 says, reprove not a scorner, lest he hate thee. But it says, rebuke a wise man, and he will love thee. Because it's never out of season. That correction is never out of season, brothers and sisters. Because you just saved his life, and he would love you, brothers and sisters. That wise man would love you if he received that correction. That's why the scripture says, those that receive discipline, they have mercy. Okay, from there, let's go to Proverbs 28:23. Proverbs chapter 28, verse 23. It says, he that rebuketh a man afterwards shall find more favor than he that flattereth with his tongue. So it's saying, say you rebuke a brother. You see a brother committing an error and you correct him. That's a wise man. He will love you. And now you will find more favor because the brother know that you saved his life. According to thus said the Lord. But if you flattered him with your tongue, just gave him words of the world, and it profited him nothing, brothers and sisters. That's why it says, he that rebuketh a man afterwards shall find favor. Shall find more favor than he that flattered with his tongue. Because there's no profit in flattery with the tongue, brothers and sisters. But that wise man that gets that rebuke or that correction, you'll find favor with him, because that man be, hey, you saved my life, brother or sister. So from there, let's go to Ecclesiasticus, back in the Apocrypha, chapter 4, verse 29. Ecclesiasticus 4, verse 29. It says, be not hasty in thy tongue, and in thy deeds slack and remiss. So the part I want, it says, be not hasty in your tongue, brothers and sisters. Because you see, just because you see somebody committing an error, the scriptures tell you to first examine the situation first. We're going to read that shortly, but it says, be not hasty in thy tongue. Don't just be sitting there waiting for something to go down there, and here you go. Ha, ha. That's not righteous, brothers and sisters. That's why the scriptures say, don't be hasty in your tongue. Because say if you see an elder do something, you can't be hasty in your tongue, brothers and sisters. The Bible defines on how we to deal with these things. Because you ought to give your elders double honor. So let's read on now. It says, don't be hasty in your tongue. Now from there, let's go to Ecclesiastes in the Apocrypha, chapter 11, verse 7. Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 7. It says, blame not before thou hast examined the truth. Understand first, then rebuke. So see, this is how we deal with these situations, brothers and sisters. It says, blame not before thou hast examined the truth. So you need to examine the truth, brothers and sisters. Don't just take somebody's word. You examine the truth. Don't blame. It says, understand first, then rebuke. So first you get to understand what's going on, then you correct. Verse 8, answer not before thou hast heard the cause, neither interrupt men in the midst of their talk. So brothers and sisters, understand it first, but you don't interrupt man in the midst of their talk, brothers and sisters. There's order. Matter of fact, let me get that. In 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 40. It says, let all things be done decently and in order. The scripture says, let all things be done decently and in order, brothers and sisters. Let all things be done decently and in order. So that's why in Ecclesiastes it said, in Ecclesiastes, it says, 11, verse 8 says, answer not before thou hast heard the cause, and neither interrupt man in the midst of their talk. So brothers and sisters, so we just read in 1 Corinthians 14, verse 40 says, let all things be done decently and in order, brothers and sisters. There's order. The Most High set up order. Now, I'm going to give you a quick instance what happened when things are done out of order. 1 Chronicles chapter 15, verse 13. 1 Chronicles chapter 15, verse 13. Now, this is dealing with a situation when they were carrying the Ark of the Covenant. And the ox stumbled, and the ark was getting ready to fall. And a brother from another tribe touched it. Not a Levite, because only a Levite could touch it. A brother from another tribe touched the ark, and the Most High killed him right then. He killed him right then, because he was out of order. He was not supposed to touch it. So let's read 1 Chronicles 15, verse 13. For because ye did it not at the first, the Lord our God made a breach upon us, for that we sought him not after due order. Let me read it again. It says, for because ye did it not at the first, the Lord our God made a breach upon us, for that we sought him not after the due order. The due order. So, and with that instant, see, David left the ark in the brother's house because of what happened. It wasn't done in order. And so that's how important order is, brothers and sisters. Things must be done in order. You must examine the matter, and don't interrupt man in the midst of that talk. Let them talk first, and then you deal with it. From there, I want to go to Job chapter 32. I'm going to get an example of that. Okay, this is Job 32 verse 1 says, so these three men ceased to answer Job because he was righteous in his own eyes. So Job seemed to be righteous in his own eyes. They was helping Job, trying to answer him, and and he was righteous in his own eyes. Now let's jump to Job chapter 32. I want to get the brief history of what's going on, not history, but get an understanding of what's going on. Job chapter 33, verse 8. It says, surely thou hast spoken in mine hearing, and I have heard the voice of thy words, saying, I am clean, without transgression. I am innocent, neither is there iniquity in me. Behold, he findeth occasion against me. He counteth me for his enemy. So Job is saying that, the brother is saying that he've heard Job saying that in verse 9, he's saying, I am clean without transgression. I am innocent, neither is there iniquity in me. So Job's saying he don't sin. That's what he's saying. So now we got to understand why I said in chapter 32, verse 1 says, so these three men ceased to answer Job because he was righteous in his own eyes. And I'm getting an overall understanding of what's going on. So now from there, let's go to chapter 32, Job chapter 32, verse 4. It says, now Elihu had waited till Job had spoken, because they were elder than he. Verse 6. And Elihu, the son of Barachel, the Buzite, answered and said, I am young, and ye are very old. Wherefore I was afraid, and durst not show you mine opinion. So we see that in verse 4, Elihu was younger than Job, and he waited till they were finished speaking. He waited till the three men were finished speaking. We just read in Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 8 says, answer not before thou hast heard the cause, neither interrupt men in the midst of their talk. So this younger brother didn't do that, right? So let's move on. And it says, he waited till they were finished, and he says here in verse 6, I was afraid and durst not show you mine opinion. Verse 7, I said days should speak, and multitude of years should teach wisdom. So he's saying, you elder brothers, days should speak, and multitude of years should speak wisdom. Verse 9 says, great men are not always wise, neither do the age understand judgment. See, because when you read it in verse 1, it says that how these three men ceased to answer Job. But Job was righteous in his own eyes, but the man didn't have an answer for Job. So it's telling you that they didn't understand judgment. And great men are not always wise. Now let's go down to verse 10. Job 32 verse 10. Therefore I said, hearken to me, I will show you mine opinion. Behold, I waited for your words, I gave ears to your reasons, whilst ye searched out what to say. Yea, I attended unto you, and behold, there was none of you that convinced Job, or that answered his word. He's saying, you are elder man, but you didn't have to answer for him. Now let's jump now to verse 18. It says, for I am full of matter, the spirit within me constraineth me. So he's saying that, it was getting to him. He's saying that they ain't answering him, and Job's saying that he's so righteous, and he's saying the spirit constrained him, though, because he understood the due order, to hear the matter first and not to interrupt man in the midst of their talk. Verse 19, behold, my belly is as wine which hath no vent, and is ready to burst like new bottles. Because this thing was really getting him, but he understood the order, brothers and sisters. We have to do things decently and in order. Now let's go to verse 20. It says, I will speak that I may be refreshed. I will open my lips and answer. Verse 21, let me not, I pray you, accept any man's person, neither let me give flattering titles unto a man. So see, the brother had understanding that he said, let me not, I pray you, accept any man's person. He understood that that was sin, brothers and sisters. Now let's jump to verse 22. For I know not to give flattering titles. In so doing, my maker would soon take me away. So he's saying, I don't have respect of persons because the Lord will take them away. I pray you click on part 6.